After a brief romance with anti-aging creams, increasingly a lot of people have been going in for cosmetic surgery. What are the pros and cons? I have been finding out. It's an attempt to attract a different kind of tourist. Come to India, see the Taj Mahal and get a new look.
A lot of inquiries coming in for plastic cosmetic surgery here, which is far cheaper than what you get abroad. And trying to tie up with different hospitals here.
Ann Clapper is an American who runs a daycare center in the States and is in India for a makeover.
Cosmetic surgery, tummy tuck, and I have had my arms done, and now I'm going to have a breast lift.
In fact, last week I had an American plastic surgeon from California, and he said that the population of the United States is about 250 million people, and there are 3 million women between the age group of 20 to 60 who want cosmetic surgery, but they cannot afford the high-priced American market. And they would like to come to India. Now, if 10% of 3 million people come to India in a year, that's 300,000 people just for cosmetic surgery.
The options are numerous and most of them promising to keep you looking younger than your years. But while it is cost-effective for foreigners to come here, the question is whether it is value for money for you and me. To begin with, the talk of the town, or probably the world. Botox, a generic name for a neurotoxin called Clostridium botulinum. It's an organism that is found and multiplies in contaminated cans or bottled food. For many years, this has been used for treatment of neurological disorders and cerebral problems. But about 4 years ago, a potential cosmetic side effect came to light that proved to be a huge commercial success. Once injected into facial muscles, Botox is said to relax them and make you look younger. One course of Botox can cost you anywhere between 5,000 to 25,000 rupees, depending on whether it is just for crow's feet around your eyes or your entire face. Botox may seem to be a cheaper option than the other surgical options. But then the surgical options last you years, unlike Botox, which lasts you 6 to 9 months. Consider this, if you go in for a facelift surgery, it lasts you for 10 to 12 years and the minimum you have to shell out is anywhere between 50,000 rupees to over 1 lakh rupees. People usually go in for their first facelift at 55 and the second one at 65.
There are other materials which we use as fillers to fill up these static lines. You know, if you see this one on my forehead, it's just a simple injection. And once it's in, combined with some Botox, it just vanishes. The only downside of Botox and all these fillers is you have a 7 to 8 month cycle of re-injecting. There is an upside to that as well. As the years go by, the dosage of Botox which you require will reduce and the time it will work for increases.
And if it's not facelift or breast lifts to hide age, then it's about reshaping the nose, cheeks or jawline to get that perfect look. For those who think their chin is too short, there is chin implants where silicone supplements or Porex, that's a synthetic polymer, elongate the chin. The technique is called malar augmentation, but all of this comes at a cost, and while it is cheaper for foreigners, such cosmetic changes can be out of reach for most Indians. Be it spending 50,000 rupees on a nose job or over 1 lakh rupees to get that perfect jawline. Well, as they say, no pain, no gain. No, there is no pain involved in any of these procedures, but there is a risk. For instance, in the case of Botox, if too much if it is injected, or if it's injected in the wrong muscle, it could lead to sagging eyebrows or blood clots being formed, and that holds true for most of the surgeries. But perhaps what you need to know is that unlike most of the surgeries, cosmetic surgery is not covered by insurance companies.
These things, because these are, like you said, very, very cosmetic treatments. So these are optional. People who want to go for it, people who have the money for it, or the inclination for it, they are the ones who take it forward. But it's nothing which is harming a person's livelihood or his health in any way. And these are very, very optional treatments, and they're normally not covered by insurance.
It's a risk that you can't insure against, so you definitely need to know the flip side and the possible side effects. With a facelift and nose job, there is a risk of anesthesia being injected wrongly, which could lead to chest infections. When it comes to a nose job, if the bone is cut in the wrong way, one could be stuck with a deformed nose. Breast lifts can cause infections as the stitch line could break down, and the risk you run with malar augmentation is that of infection and wrong positioning of your chin. You would need to check out the doctor and ensure that you are being treated at a hospital which boasts of a large infrastructure where a backup of just about everything is available.
Even under a local anesthesia, an operation is an operation, and there are risks involved in everything. When we do procedure under general anesthesia, there are anesthetic risks which we have to worry about. There are infections, there are what we call hematomas, blood collections, and so on and so forth. These complications are extremely rare, but you cannot discount them completely and pretend that nothing is going to happen.
So make sure that you check out the pros and cons before you chase that elusive dream of perfect looks. To discuss the topic further on the program, we are joined with skin specialist Dr. Sanjeev Kandhari. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, now you just saw this story. Apart from the various cosmetic surgeries that we spoke about, which are the other kinds of cosmetic surgeries which are hugely advertised in the Indian media?
Well, it's not only surgeries, but there are other things as well. Like, for instance, we've mentioned Botox. Botox could be combined with fillers. There are machines which we now call IPL, or intense pulse light, which could also be used. These are fairly expensive. They've just come into the market. For instance, if you're using a filler, it could cost you something like 20,000 to 25,000 per sitting, and it would be something which is temporary to the extent of 6 to 8 months of lasting. Similarly, an IPL sitting is comparatively cheaper. It could cost you something between 5 to 10,000 rupees per sitting. Then, of course, we have the laser market, which can be used predominantly for hair removal, but there are other things in which it can be used. For lesions which are pigmented, it can also be used for anti-aging, in which there could be remodeling or tightening of the skin, as you call it. Now, costing could differ from procedure to procedure. You know, one procedure may cost you something like 30,000 rupees, but it could go on to in a couple of lakhs as well.
So laser just for anti-aging, how much does it cost?
Well, it depends upon the number of sittings, but I think per sitting it could cost you something like 10 to 15,000 rupees.
Right.
And you would need about varying from 5 to 10 sittings at least.
Now you said that laser, for instance, needs a lot of sittings. In our story we spoke about how even if somebody goes in for Botox, after every 6 to 9 months they need to go get it injected again. And even for a facelift, after a period of 10 to 12 years, after the first lift, the first facelift, one usually needs to go for a second facelift. So in the long run, are these surgeries, are these procedures really value for money?
Well, they are value for money for the person. Let's say you are a person who's in the media and you want to look younger, or there is another person who's in a film line, they want to look younger, or there is a person who's got the money and is ready to pay for it, it's fine.
In terms of a market, what kind of a market does cosmetic surgery really have in India?
Well, the market is tremendous. The market is growing because now there is something being given to the client which was not available earlier.
Right. And regarding India specifically, are there any kind of trends which have emerged over the years?
Well, I think the most important is that the younger people and also the older people, both of them are interested in looking young. A better look factor has come into this because things are now available if you're ready to pay for it.
and now pay for it. Cost factor, has the cost decreased because of an increasing demand?
I can't say that it is really decreased. On the contrary, I would say that the cost is increasing.
Right. And now let's talk about the safety. Across the board, how safe is it really going in for any kind of cosmetic surgery or procedure?
Well, each procedure has its problems, especially in a dark-skinned individual. For instance, if you go in for a laser, it could give rise to pigmentation, you know, it could give rise to bleedings, it could give rise to a burn, it could give rise to a scar, it could give rise to secondary infections. Even a simple procedure like hair removal could give rise to, you know, around the hair, you could have a little bit of swelling. So there are problems with each procedure that you could have. I have named a few, but these are the main ones that you could face with a laser. Fillers, for instance, if you go in for, they could have dimpling, they could have bruising, you know, bruising meaning that there could be a bleed inside the skin. Similarly with Botox, we've already mentioned that, but you know, there could be a ptosis, that means your eye could temporarily, or the eyelid could temporarily buckle a bit. And there could be bruising, there could be bleeding, there could be secondary infection. So there are problems with each procedure. So one can't say that they are totally safe. It has to be done with good hands and a person who's really well trained. The problem is there are not very many trained people who are doing this in the market today.
So who regulates that? Is the Medical Council of India regulating cosmetic surgery?
That is the unfortunate part. There is no regulation. Anybody and everybody is wanting, he buys a machine, he has the money and he sets up a practice. There is no regulation, and this is the most unfortunate part, because what happens is that there is a person who buys a laser and he starts doing it. There are 101 people who are working for him and they just keep on removing the hair, you know, but that's not on. And even if you go in for a hair removal, the person has to guide them first that, okay, you have a hormonal problem or you don't have a hormonal problem. If the person has a hormonal problem, maybe the laser is really not needed. And in most laser clinics, this is not being done. But of course, for other, like for instance, if you have diabetes, you know, you could be in line for having more infections. So you have to ask them, are you taking a particular drug? Then the doc has to know that this drug has to be asked and this is not the right drug to be given with this procedure.
Now we were talking about the non-existence of a regulator. What is the situation internationally?
Well, internationally, I think US is the only market where there is accreditation for this process, because in the US, in the course of dermatology, lasers and plastic surgery, 1-year course is mandatory for us to do as doctors, whereas nowhere else in the world is this really being taken care of. It's only the associations and not the governmental angle which is really looking after it. But I think it's extremely important that accreditation is there.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Well, on Value for Money, it's time for a very short break. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes.